If you haven't heard of Delta before, it's a general purpose command line diff tool. I've been using it for around a year now, and even back then I wrote a little shell script basically creating a custom TUI using FCF to make it really easy to view Git diffs and do PR reviews on the command line. So in this video, we're going to go over how to set all sorts of different Git commands to use Delta by default, and also go over that little script as well. I just wanted to show a quick screenshot here of it, which we can theme out, of course. Now, one thing I really do like about Delta here, the screenshot shows it, is look at the character differences here. There's like dual tone colors. We have the darker green, and then this character, the semicolon that was added here, it's a brighter green. Likewise, you can see the parenthesis here as well. And you can imagine if you're doing some type of code review or looking at a diff, it's really nice to be able to see this as a different color because, if this were just the darker green in the background, it might be harder to see that a semicolon was added there. So I love that about that. So let's go and take a look here at it in action. GD is going to be that little shell script for Git diff. I created it, it's up on my .dot files. We'll go over it in a bit here. So in this case here, yep, we can just go back one commit, compare it to the main branch. I don't want to use side by side just yet. That's an option. But in this case here, let's just run it and see what happens. So here right away, we're using FCF to see all the different files in the sidebar here on the left that are different. And I can just use the arrow keys here to switch between them. And then on the right-hand side, we can actually see the diff here. And it's all themed out quite nicely to match my setup here. So in this case here, yeah, you can see, okay, I removed some characters here weren't necessary. Also added some condition here. And if I go, even down further in this file here, because I can just hit shift arrows to move up and down here with the page keys, then yeah, we can see all sorts of different things here. But in this case, whatever, it's very easy to clearly see what changed here. Some characters were removed, and then we get a nice little output there. And then likewise over here, you can see this line was changed. I just changed the flag to be keep current instead of current. Basically a bug fix for something I refactored earlier this morning. And what's really nice about this too, though, is if you prefer seeing side-by-side diffs, that's no problem. So you can just do -s side, and then you can see them here. Now, the font size for the sake of the video is massive, so this thing wraps the two lines, but normally, this wouldn't be wrapping here. It would look quite nicely, but you can already see, side by side, like, oh, here's a new change here. Those characters got removed, and we can see all sorts of different things there. I can page down here and see the changes here as well. And then also I can use the arrow keys again, just to go and flip between the files here. So you can imagine doing something like a bigger change and a big pull request that might be changing like 35 files or 17 files. You'd have all those files in a list here. Then it's really easy for you to flip between them, check out the diffs there, which is quite nice. And then maybe, if you're doing a PR review on GitHub, you can go back up there, find the file in the PR, add some comment to it, whatever you need to do, which is pretty cool. But you don't just need to use this GD alias here. For example, if I do a git diff, just straight up on the command line, notice that Delta is being used here as well. That's the output that we see. You can ignore the changes here. These are things that, I haven't committed up to my .dot files just because I won't be. But yeah, in this case, I was experimenting with compiling Neri from source to fix a memory leak, which has been pushed to master or the main branch a couple of months ago. That's all been working here very nicely, but you can see the diff here, not side by side, but yeah, basically I changed this by just changing the package to be in a different spot. That's all there is to it there. So by the way, I will say anything you can pass to git diff, you can also pass to that GD script as well. For example, I can do -s staged here. And in this case here, I actually don't have any stage changes, but let's go and just do a git add p, which by the way, will demonstrate this being used as well. You can see here too, we are getting the Delta output where it's like, okay, fine. Let's say I wanted to stage that. That's cool. Maybe not stage that one. Fine. I can just go ahead now and do git diff staged, and we can see the stage change there. And if I do a git status, I actually don't want to stage that, but I just wanted to demonstrate that real quick here. If we do this config for the MPV one, there we go. And now we're back to normal. So besides doing a git diff or staged files, or maybe between commits or branches or things like that, if you're doing a PR review, you can also do git blame as well. Now, this will look a little bit ugly here because I don't have it themed out, but let's say I do a git blame on the README file here. You can see the blame here, the output. You can kind of just go through it. Again, this is the default out of the box with Delta. It could look better in theory if we were to actually care about the colors here, but I don't really use this enough to really trick it out, but it is available here to theme if you really, really, really want to do it. I actually have a blog post written about this. I didn't publish it yet. Will be available in the description. But yeah, some other git commands here. Yeah, so there's like git show, diff, add p, and blame. Those are all the main ones there. I didn't show git show, but if I do git show here, that's going to be the last commit here. That's basically what we saw before in that side-by-side view if you wanted to in the TUI, but here it's like it in its non-TUI form if you were to just do a git show. And then of course you can do that on a specific commit just like we saw before, whether or not you use that little GD script or not. But yeah, really nice. But notice how I'm not really doing anything different, right? Just running git show and it's all set up. So let's go over how that's configured. So in that case here, I will open up my .dot files. And then we shall go to my git config here, which is commit. So taking a look here at the config file, we have a couple of different things related to Delta. So right here, we just want to tell Git, by the way, for the pager, let's start using Delta by default. And then for Delta's configuration itself, we have navigate true. This allows you to navigate your diffs here by file by using lowercase n, capital N, just like the normal Git behavior there as well. We want that to work with Delta too. And then for interactive here, for diff filter, we are saying delta, by the way, let's just do color only. So it has the ability to change the structure of what the diff is. But in this case here for interactive, if you're doing something like a get add -p, then yeah, we just want to modify the colors here. We don't want to mess around with the way it is actually presented there in data format. So this is actually here in the man pages for delta, color only. It says basically don't alter the input structurally in any way. So you can go and check this out in more detail if you want to look at its other flags here, because really I'm not doing a whole lot of heavy lifting here with configuration. Basically just telling Git to use it, make sure we can navigate between diffs if you want, and just make sure get add p is working correctly here. Another thing that is interesting though to set up here, if I go to my Z profile file, then down here somewhere, I have some delta features being enabled with environment variables. So diff so fancy here. So here's a link here. We can go and check it out. Just around like how environment variables work here with delta, by the way, very extensive documentation here. But yeah, this, air quotes, magic variable delta features, you can just start adding and removing features here. So diff so fancy basically just presents things in a way that it looks really, really nice, more similar to what you see in my prompt versus that screenshot on the README page there. So if we actually didn't set this one, maybe you've set delta features to nothing, and then run the command, we can go and check it out. Let's just see how that would work. So let's do something like git diff. And then in this case here, I guess we can just see the normal output. Sure, that's what it looks like. But then if we use delta features, I think we could just set this to an empty environment variable and see. And then this is kind of just what it would look like without using diff so fancy. So in this case here, I prefer the other look. So that's why I have that set there. So going back to this other window here, yeah, so, if you're not using my .dat files, which by the way sets everything up here for you, then make sure you want to have this in your shell's profile file. In my case, I'm using Z shell. If you're using bash, that's going to work just fine as well. And then also I will mention here too, if you actually want to use this tool, the package that gets installed will depend on what OS you're using or distribution or whatever. But in this case here, it is Git delta in most package managers. So in this case here, we are looking at for RTR and Pacman, and then also there it is here for brew, also like git -delta. And then yeah, in apt packages, I'm pretty sure it's the same as well. In this case here, my .dat files work on Ubuntu and Debian as well, but Debian 12 didn't have it by default here. So I just got it with curl manually here. This is going to go away very, very soon, and just use the package because Ubuntu already has it. And then again, yeah, even Ubuntu 26 coming out maybe a month after this video here, it should have it as well. But yeah, in any case here, git delta is going to be the package name there. Cool. Okay. So that's getting it installed. That's getting it sort of configured here. Maybe now let's take a look here at that GD script here, which is just git diff here. And we don't need to go crazy here going over line by line, but yeah, it's a shell script. Basically anything you can pass into git diff, you can pass in as an argument here. And then, yeah, the dash side that you could pass into here. This just ends up being added as a new delta feature. So we're just appending to that environment variable saying, hey, by the way, we want to do side by side because that's a feature of delta to be able to do side by side. I just wanted to be able to pass in -- side instead of, side by side here with a shorter name here. So we just make sure that feature is enabled if this flag is passed in here or whatever. Otherwise, we're just going to pass all the arguments here to get diff here. And then, yeah, this is kind of just building the little TUI here, right? Where we just take the name only here for get diff. Not super important, I guess. We don't need to break down the script, but we just pipe it into FCF. And then FCF, we're going to be doing some previews here. Maybe a future video can go into more details on building TUIs with FCF. But in this video here, I just wanted to demonstrate, yeah, you can use delta to do git diffs and build little tools to help you out doing things that you might do on a regular basis. So yeah, delta is amazing. I've been using it again for about a year. I've reviewed so many different PRs using that little TUI there, and it all just works quite nicely. So let us know in the comments below if you're using delta or maybe a different tool, or maybe how are you using delta in different ways. Oh, that's actually one thing too, a reminder that you can actually use delta to do some rigrep stuff too as well. For example, if you do RG here, rigrep, and then maybe we'll just do a search for, I don't know, like, do I even have the word hello here? I don't think so. Okay, fine. What about like theme? That's probably a word here. Sure, there's a ton of them. Let's maybe something a little bit less specific. How about like wallpaper? Okay, how about that? Sure. So you can see the highlights here, wallpaper, it looks cool. But you can actually use rigrep to output JSON, and then you can just pipe that into delta, and now you can have delta return back the results here. Again, it's such a minor thing, but it's also kind of interesting where, yeah, you can actually use this tool in all sorts of different ways. And then, there's even more examples here in the README file for delta itself. I kind of only scratched the surface, but again, it's like doing all the things that I do on a regular basis. It's handling it all quite nicely. So yeah, you can, things like line numbers and different spacings and all that stuff, that's all in the manual if you want to go and check it out. Again, we barely just touched a couple of different options there. But yeah, with that said, if you like the video, please give a thumbs up. Really does help a lot. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below too. Do my best to answer all of them. And again, just as a reminder, all this stuff is available on my .files here. You can run the install script, get it all set up and running in about 5 or 10 minutes, or just pick around at the config files that, the things that we looked at before. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next one.